YouTube, how we doing, family? It's your boy, Yo, and this is another episode of YoHoops. I go through every NBA game every day. Today's Friday, December 26th, and we have a 9-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through my thoughts, let you know what sides I like, and stick around, because I have 2 highlighted plays for today. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's recap. Recapping yesterday, I dropped my highlighted play of the day really in disgusting fashion. I took the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 2 points in Denver against the Denver Nuggets. Minnesota looked dead in the water in the third quarter, but they really won the fourth by 14 points to send it to OT. Anthony Edwards hits the fadeaway 3 with 1 second left. Pure cinema. They started overtime on an 8-0 run, but still found a way to lose it by more than a bucket. What really got Denver over the hump was the fact that they shot 44% from behind the arc, but regardless, the Wolves still should have got it done. Final score was 142 to 138, Nuggets in overtime. I'm now 16, 14, and 1 on all highlighted plays in December. The Grinch whooped my ass, but for real, I'm ready to get back in that win column tonight. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. In our first matchup, we have the Boston Celtics in Indiana taking on the Indiana Pacers. Celtics are minus 340 on the money line, and the total is 222.5. I've tried to back the Pacers in spots recently, but they haven't been able to pull it together playing through so many injuries. They're currently on a 6-game losing streak, and they only have 6 wins on the season. They're 6-24. I should mention Indiana actually has been proficient against the spread at home, but this is too much of a mismatch tonight. We just saw this matchup in Boston on Monday, and the Celtics won that one 103-95. They didn't cover this line, but the problem was the Pacers led by 18 at halftime. You blow a 20-point lead in the second half to lose it by 8. That's not a good look. I doubt they come into this one with the same intensity, and the Celtics probably grind it to a 13-point win. I'm taking the Celtics laying the 8.5 as my first selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Charlotte Hornets in Orlando taking on the Orlando Magic. Magic are minus 235 on the money line, and the total is 230.5. I'm still concerned with Orlando's injury report. Franz Wagner is still ruled out, Jalen Suggs is listed as doubtful, and Tristan Da Silva has been upgraded to probable. It looks like Da Silva will play, but Franz is the guy I'm really worried about. He's Orlando's leading scorer, and they were already below 500 ATS when he was playing. Desmond Bane's giving you 24 points at most, and Paolo's shooting 43% from the field. When you think about the fact that he's not a three-point shooter, that's crazy. The Hornets have most of their guys back in the lineup, and looking through both rosters, I would actually give the slight edge to Charlotte outright. LaMelo is by far the best guard on the floor. Then you can make the case that Knuppel or Miles Bridges is the next best scorer on either team. Charlotte should have a very legitimate chance to win the game, and I definitely want the points in my back pocket. I'm taking the Hornets plus a 5.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Miami Heat in Atlanta taking on Atlanta Hawks. Hawks are minus 160 on the money line, and the total is 249. I don't like the injury situation for Miami coming into this one. Tyler Hero is ruled out, Bam Adebayo is listed as questionable, then Pele Larson and Nikola Jovic are both listed as probable. We've already seen the injuries start to catch up to them. They're currently 2-8 over their last 10 games. I can't even say they played the toughest competition either. They got blown out by teams like the Mavericks, the Raptors, and the Kings. Miami's in bad form. I'm not looking in their direction tonight. I should mention Atlanta has yet to win a game since the return of Trae Young. That's the only reason I'm not making it a highlighted play, but I really like the spot for the Hawks tonight. Take a look at Jalen Johnson's rebounds and assist prop. He's been on an absolute tear, and I'm taking the Hawks laying the 3.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Toronto Raptors in Washington taking on the Washington Wizards. Raptors are minus 290 on the money line, and the total is 224.5. At full strength, I would feel more comfortable laying this many points to Toronto, but their injury report is starting to get lengthy. RJ Barrett and Jakob Poeltl are both ruled out, and now Scotty Barnes is listed as questionable with an illness. Considering it's the day after Christmas and he's sick, I feel it too. I'm a little under the weather myself. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he doesn't play. Obviously, there's not a ton of data backing up the Wizards. They've been miserable all season, but that's exactly the reason why point spreads exist. They'll probably lose this game, but they aren't the worst team in the league when it comes to covering the number. That's the Clippers. All of Washington's starters are in. It's about that time of the month where they compete, especially against a similar level of talent. I'm taking the Wizards plus a 7 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Philadelphia 76ers in Chicago taking on the Chicago Bulls. Sixers are minus 120 on the money line, and the total is 241. The Bulls come into this one at full strength, but it looks like everyone is listed as questionable for Philly. Kelly Oubre is ruled out, but Dominic Barlow, Quentin Grimes, VJ Edgecombe, and Joel Embiid are all game time decisions. Of course, I'd like to know who's going for Philly, but rather than taking a side, I'm looking at a prop. I'm taking Tyrese Maxey to go over 27.5 points. Even if everyone plays, I still like the line, but if one or two guys sit, he's easily going over. He's averaging 31 on the season, and we just got that bad game out of the way against the Nets on Tuesday, so this is a perfect bounce back spot. I also like the fact that the total is set at 241, so we can expect plenty of scoring on both sides. I'm gonna lock it in as my first highlighted selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Milwaukee Bucks in Memphis taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. Grizzlies are minus 210 on the money line, and the total is 230.5. The Bucks are, of course, still without Giannis, but I can't act like the injury situation for Memphis is any better. Zach Edey and Vince Williams are both ruled out, while John Morant and Cedric Howard are both listed as questionable. What I will say is Memphis has been able to overcome playing through injury basically all season, while the Bucks have been miserable without Giannis. Milwaukee's just 3-10 since he went down, and the fact that John Morant is listed as questionable is actually an upgrade considering he's been out for a few games. I'm not in love with laying 6 points with the banged up Grizzlies, but the Bucks really have been that bad without Yanni. I'll lean to the Grizzlies laying the 5.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Phoenix Suns in New Orleans taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. Suns are minus 200 on the money line, and the total is 239.5. This is a big fraud check spot for Phoenix. If they're as good as everyone thinks, they should easily win this one by margin. Problem is, I'm not buying it. Dylan Brooks is not that guy, especially on offense, and Devin Booker is averaging his lowest points in 8 years. Past that, they don't have consistent scorers. They have streaky role players that have been showing up at the right times. The Pelicans have won 5 of their last 6 games outright. Yeah, we did get crushed against the Cavs on Tuesday, but Cleveland had to have a bounce back game at some point. Jordan Poole is listed as questionable, so I'd like to see him play, but with Zion and their young core out there, they should have a very legitimate chance to win this game. I think the Suns are overrated. I'm taking the Pelicans plus a 5.5 as my second highlighted selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Detroit Pistons in Utah taking on Utah Jazz. Pistons are minus 440 on the money line, and the total is 243. Both teams come into this one at full strength. I have it playing out a lot closer than the books are anticipating. Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren should do what they do, but past that, I don't see many reliable options for the Pistons. Oscar Thompson is more of a defender, and we know Tobias Harris is good for a brick at any moment. Duncan Robinson is also streaky, so you might be relying on Cade to go for 40. Lauri Markkanen is back in the lineup for the Jazz. In Salt Lake City, where they played their best basketball, they shouldn't lose this one by more than 8. The Jazz are currently 12-5 against the spread at home. I say we follow the trend and grab the points. I'm taking the Jazz plus a 9.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our last and final matchup, we have the LA Clippers in Portland taking on the Portland Trailblazers. Clippers are minus 150 on the money line, and the total is 227. The Clippers have been so bad that I feel like they have to go on a win streak just to balance out what we've seen, but every spot I want to take them, they're overvalued. You're in Portland where the Blazers have been profitable from an ATS perspective, and you're laying points with Ivica Zubac out. Jeremy Grant is also ruled out, so that's a slight blow to Portland, but they're still pushing it with this line. I'm going to lean to the Clippers just based on the fact that they have played better on the road, and they do have to bounce back at some point. More than likely a game I'm staying away from, but give me the Clippers laying the 2.5 as my last and final selection. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. 16, 14, and 1 on all highlighted plays in December. I got finessed a little bit over Christmas, but I'm ready to get right back in that win column tonight. Let's go 2-0. I appreciate the support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo! And until the next one, I'm going to catch y'all. Peace.